What was it like when you first found out about Ellie's scoliosis?
I remember she was probably 10 or 11. I believe we found at school when they did the scoliosis test that she had some kind of curvature. So we came in, had an x-ray done, and she did have a slight curve that they monitored for a while. Then we came back, and I don't think it was that long, maybe 6 months later, and it had significantly grown in the curvature. So at that point we started talking about bracing. I believe we went right to a back brace at that time, and she wore that diligently for 20 hours a day for probably a good year or more. That wasn't helping as much as they hoped, so then we went to night bracing. So she had a special night brace that could kind of cinch her up tighter during the evening when she's relaxed in bed. And ultimately that just didn't work for her. She's one of the few that it got worse instead of better. And then we were looking at surgery at that point.
What concerns did you have when you considered surgery?
I just had general concerns about back surgery and how major of a thing this was. I think as a parent you worry about any kind of permanent damage, and you wonder, are you doing the right thing? And we researched online and called people and got as much information as we could, and ultimately determined that it was the right course of action, and I think we had the best team that we could get here at Gillette's too.
What advice do you have for other parents and caregivers who are considering surgery for their child?
I would say trust the professionals, get information so you feel good, look at the information they're giving you, ask as many questions as you can. The team here at Gillette's was awesome. I had so many questions and doubts and fears, and they really just welcomed all of my questions and answered and gave me any kind of data they could on why or why not this was the best course of action. And I remember the surgeons particularly saying to me one day that if it was his child, he would definitely do this, and this was why. And I think that was comforting, just kind of coming from a more personal standpoint than a medical standpoint. But I think the more information I had, the better I felt about what we were doing.
What was it like for you on the day of Ellie's surgery?
Day of surgery, we got up early. She had to shower with special soap and shampoo and everything, so things were sterile. Drove to the hospital and got her prepped for surgery, and that all went well. And then just waiting in the lobby for, oh gosh, I want to say it was like 6 hours, but you could kind of watch on the board where she was. They had a board where they would show kind of what stage of surgery they were in and when she got moved into recovery, and had some family here at the hospital. And as it turned out, we had friends that we didn't know their son had back surgery probably a year before that came in for a checkup, and she sat with us, told us about his experience, and that was neat to have as we were going through that as well. Waking up was, I'll admit, it was a little scary. She was so gray. I remember almost thinking like, this is what it's going to feel like to I hate to say this, but like when your child's dead, she looked, it's kind of a scary feeling when you first walk in and see her, but she started coming around, and it was just a complete sense of relief that she was awake and talking and interacting, and we'd made it through this big hurdle.
What was it like for you during Ellie's recovery after surgery?
The days after were long. I stayed at the hospital both days, went home one day for like 20 minutes just to shower and get some things, and came back. She was pretty uncomfortable, had to be turned or moved, I would say, every maybe 20 minutes. And you feel a little bit helpless. Again, the team here was awesome, giving you any information, tips, trying to teach us what we could expect when we get home, and making everything as comfortable as we could, but you knew she was in a fair amount of pain, and that it would be a little bit of a road to recovery.
What were your biggest concerns when it was time to go home from the hospital?
I would say the biggest concern about being at home was that at Gillette's she had the adjustable bed and she was up and down and stuff in that bed all the time. So I worried about what that would be like going home to a regular bed. They prepped us before to have a lot of pillows, and I'm not kidding you, like have like 20 pillows at home because they will go through a lot of them. And then just worried about pain management, what that would be like for her. Doing it on our own, a little bit scary. So I guess the other advice I would have is have a team available for you if you need them when you get home.
That's good advice. What did your team look like?
I had my daughter there, which was helpful. She's a teenager as well, so she was able to help quite a bit. And my parents actually came and stayed for a couple of days initially, which I highly recommend. I didn't think I was going to need that much help, but you don't get much sleep during the night because they're literally up like every 15 minutes to a half hour, not only just to be turned to get comfortable, but then you want to stay on top of the pain medication. So we were setting an alarm to take that when she could, because if you missed that and she was sleeping by a half hour, then when she woke up it was horrible. So we started setting an alarm for medication and that, so you're really not getting a lot of sleep, and by day 2 you feel a little bit like you're going to lose your mind. I had my sister-in-law come and stay one afternoon just for like 3 hours so I could get a nap, and that was great. She's a nurse too, so I felt very comfortable having her around. But just someone that can be there to help so you can get a little rest. And I think it's good for them to just kind of have a fresh face, other people to talk to and things too.
What was it like getting Ellie up and moving during her recovery?
Getting her up and moving was a little scary at first, just because you don't know how much they hurt or how much they can do. But we found as time went on too, the more we got her up and walking and moving around, actually the more comfortable she was. So probably by day 2 or 3 we were getting her up probably every half hour or so and just having her walk the hallway back and forth. And then it was getting walks outside once she was able to go a little further, getting up and down the stairs, having her just come sit downstairs in the living room for 5 minutes, even if that's all she could tolerate. But the more mobile she was, the better in the long run she felt. And it seemed like the quicker the recovery went then too.
What are things like now, a year after surgery?
Yeah, life now is good. We didn't realize too with the spine curvature that she had limited lung capacity, especially on one side, and she would often get winded or say I had a side ache, like just taking a 2-block walk. And I remember thinking like, oh come on, you're 15 now, you should be able to go further than this. And now looking back, I feel bad because she really couldn't breathe very well. So in that respect, it's been great. She's been getting more endurance. We go out and play basketball, toss the football around, swimming, long walks, lots of different activities. She's really not limited at this point, a year in, to anything that I can think of.
Is there anything else you would tell a parent or caregiver who is considering surgery for their child?
What I would say to a parent, get as much information as you can. I think coming home we were a little unprepared for what to expect and how much pain and stuff she would really be in and how much help I would need with her, just because it's kind of like bringing a newborn home again. You're constantly at the beck and call, and they are needing a lot the first few days at least. And if they're still experiencing pain, we actually had to call back in and we got a couple extra pain pills, and it was literally like 2, but for some reason that got her over the hump, so I'm glad we called in. So stay in touch with the team and ask for advice or assistance if you need it.